The first thing that made Rowan Hale stop breathing was not the silence in the room. It was the whisper. It was so soft, so fragile, that for a moment he thought he had imagined it. But the words brushed past his ear like a ghost in daylight, and suddenly his hands froze in the air. His heart pounded as if the world had tilted beneath his feet. Rowan had spent the last 5 years learning how to survive heartbreak, responsibility, and the crushing weight of raising a child alone. But nothing had prepared him for that whisper in the quiet afternoon sunlight. Before we continue, take a moment to support stories that remind us of kindness and second chances. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Heartfelt Stories if you believe that even broken lives can find healing again. The sun was warm that day, spilling through the tall windows of the small rehabilitation clinic where Rowan worked. Outside, the world moved like any other afternoon. Cars rolling slowly down the street, leaves fluttering in the breeze, children laughing in the distance. But inside that quiet therapy room, Rowan felt as though time itself had paused. Rowan Hale had never planned to become a massage therapist. Years earlier, he had worked construction, building houses and chasing overtime shifts just to keep life steady. Back then, his world had been simple. Long days, loyal friends, and dreams that seemed reachable. Then everything changed. His wife passed away unexpectedly when their daughter, Mira, was only 3 years old. In a single night, Rowan became both mother and father. The grief nearly crushed him. But his daughter's tiny hand has reminded him every morning that giving up was never an option. Rowan had to rebuild his life from scratch. Construction work became impossible with daycare schedules and late-night responsibilities. A friend helped him enroll in a physical therapy assistant program, and eventually Rowan discovered a natural gift for therapeutic massage. His strong but careful hands could ease pain from injured muscles, aging joints, and exhausted bodies. What began as survival slowly became purpose. Years later, Rowan worked at a small but respected clinic that specialized in rehabilitation therapy. His co-workers admired his calm presence, and his patients trusted him deeply. They often said Rowan had the rare ability to make people feel safe. But the person lying on the therapy table that afternoon was not just any patient. She was Maren Voss. Maren was the younger sister of Rowan's best friend, Voss. Callum and Rowan had grown up together like brothers, surviving reckless teenage years and late-night road trips that seemed endless at the time. But adulthood had scattered them across different cities. When Callum called one day asking Rowan for help with his sister's recovery, Rowan agreed without hesitation. Maren had recently been in a car accident that left her with severe muscle trauma in her neck and back. The doctors recommended physical therapy and therapeutic massage to help her regain mobility. Rowan had not seen Maren in years. The last time he remembered her clearly, she had been a shy teenager who used to follow her older brother around with quiet admiration. Now she was a grown woman in her late 20s, recovering from pain and uncertainty. Their therapy sessions had always been professional and calm. Rowan kept clear boundaries, focusing only on helping her regain strength and comfort. But something about that afternoon felt different. The sunlight pouring through the windows made the room feel warmer than usual. Dust motes floated lazily in the air. The faint scent of lavender oil filled the space as Rowan worked slowly across the tense muscles in Maren's shoulders. He could feel how tight the pain still was beneath her skin. Trauma often left invisible scars that took time to loosen. Rowan focused carefully, using steady pressure the way he had been trained. Outside the window, a bird landed briefly on the railing and chirped before flying away. Inside the room, the silence deepened. That was when Maren shifted slightly on the table. Rowan assumed she was adjusting to the pressure of the therapy. He softened his movements, easing the tension along the muscles near her shoulder blade. Then came the whisper. It was so faint that it barely disturbed the quiet air. But Rowan heard it clearly enough to understand the meaning behind it. The words carried something heavier than pain. They carried loneliness. Her whisper revealed a truth Rowan had never expected to hear from her. She admitted in that fragile breath that she had been terrified ever since the accident. Not just the pain, but being alone in a world that suddenly felt unpredictable. And she admitted something else. She said that the kindness Rowan showed her each week had become the one moment she looked forward to the most. Rowan's hands froze instantly. The room felt smaller. For a moment, Rowan's thoughts spun wildly. He was a therapist, a professional, the brother of her brother's closest friend, a single father trying to build a stable life for his daughter. Crossing emotional lines was something he had always been careful to avoid. But the vulnerability in Maren's whisper didn't feel inappropriate. It felt human. Rowan slowly stepped back, giving her space and allowing the moment to settle. He realized something then that struck deeper than he expected. For years, Rowan had been the strong one for everyone else. The dependable father, the calm therapist, the friend who never complained. But hearing Maren's quiet confession reminded him that everyone carries hidden storms. Pain isn't always physical. Sometimes people just need to be reminded they aren't invisible. Over the following weeks, Rowan continued Maren's therapy sessions with the same professionalism and care. But something had changed, not in a romantic way, but in a deeper understanding between two people who both knew what it felt like to rebuild life after loss. Maren slowly regained her strength. The stiffness in her shoulders softened. The tension in her neck faded. But more importantly, her confidence returned. She started smiling more. She spoke about plans to return to her job, to travel again, to reclaim the life the accident had interrupted. Rowan noticed those small victories the way a gardener notices the first leaves after winter. And every afternoon when he finished work, Rowan would pick up his daughter Mira from school. She would run toward him with a backpack bouncing behind her, full of stories about art projects and playground adventures. Life wasn't perfect, but it was moving forward. One bright afternoon near the end of Maren's therapy program, Rowan walked her to the clinic's front door after her final session. The sunlight outside was golden and warm, filling the street with life. Maren stood there for a moment, steady on her feet, stronger than she had been months before. Rowan realized then that healing had happened in more ways than one, not because of dramatic miracles, but because of patience, kindness, and quiet moments when someone simply listened. If this story has touched your heart so far, take a moment to like the video and share it with someone who believes in second chances. Sometimes the smallest acts of compassion create the biggest changes in someone's life. Before we reach the ending, here's a special request. Please comment the word kindness below if you believe that even simple human care can change someone's world. As Maren stepped outside into the warm daylight, she paused briefly and looked back with a calm, grateful expression. Rowan watched her walk down the sidewalk with steady steps. The whisper that had once frozen him in place had become something else entirely, a reminder that people often carry silent battles we cannot see. And sometimes, all it takes to help someone keep going is a moment of genuine care. Rowan returned inside the clinic, finished his shift, and drove across town to pick up Mira. When she jumped into the car, excitedly talking about a drawing she made at school, Rowan felt something rare and powerful settle quietly in his chest. Hope, not the loud, dramatic kind, but the quiet kind that grows slowly, day by day, through patience and kindness. And that, Rowan realized, was the kind of hope that lasts. If this story moved you even a little, please comment, share, and subscribe to Heartfelt Stories so more people can experience stories that remind us how powerful compassion can be.